Hey friend, Henry Flowers here, Powerful Living Outreach Ministries. If you want to send questions, comments, you got some show ideas that you want me to throw out there and get into, you can contact me. The cell phone number, if you're in the Cincinnati area, if you want to send a text or email, 513-404-7793. And if you want to send it via email, you can send us a line at powerfulliving2022@gmail.com. If you're in the Cincinnati area and you want to come and visit us, we have an empowerment sessions Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock at General Dentistry in Milford. And we in the upper room, General Dentistry in Milford. It's some weird address, Wolf Pen Pleasant Road in Milford, right off I-275, just like less than a mile from Milford Junior High School. You want to come in person because we do record the podcast. And then after the podcast, man, we get into real in-depth studies and practices, training on what powerful living looks like and how to practice these principles that I teach in these podcasts, right? So remember, I'm talking about helping people go from powerful church sermons and powerful church services to powerful living. There's a process there, and sometimes, unfortunately, there's a disconnect between the people of God and the powerful life that Jesus Christ says he wants us to have. In John 10:10, he talked about the thief who comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But I have come that you have life and have it more abundantly. Listen, let's be real clear. When Jesus was talking about life and having it more abundantly, the real translation is, I want you to have a rich and satisfying life. That is not talking about heaven. In that passage when Jesus was talking about the thief who've come to kill, steal, and destroy, he's not talking about life in heaven when he says, I've come to give you a rich and satisfying life. He's talking about life here on earth. It's supposed to be rich and satisfying. You're supposed to be doing something with the power that he gave you. And that's what powerful living is all about. So for you who really might be questioning what I just said, listen, let me give you some context, because context is king when it comes to understanding the scriptures. So Jesus says, the thief, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I've come that you have a rich and satisfying life. Here's how, just really simple, without even going into the Greek and the Hebrew and all that kind of stuff. No, listen, you don't have to exegete nothing. Just look at the context. Here it is. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So those of you who might be suggesting that or thinking that this is talking about life in heaven, let me ask you a question. If Jesus was talking about life in heaven, if you were in heaven, could a thief, number one, even be there? You already got you follow me, right? So number one, there will be no thieves in heaven. Number two, is there anything, because he says the thief come to kill, steal, and destroy. So there's not going to be any thieves. And is there going to be any possibility for anything to be stolen, destroyed, or killed in heaven? See, I love this audience. You got me already. Thank you. Thank you for being quick on that. And that's not even my passage, but I just really want people to understand. Listen, there is a life that Jesus wants you to have here on earth. And many of us miss out on it just for real simple reasons. And I think one of the simplest things is just a lot of us are having too many powerful church services and it's not translating into a powerful life. A lot of us are listening to a bunch of powerful sermons. Listen, I could do that with the best of them. I can deliver a powerful sermon. I can participate in a powerful church service. We're going to do that. If Powerful Living Outreach Ministries develops into a church out of what happens on Tuesday nights, if it develops into a Sunday expression, I'm okay with that. But just understand, that's not the goal. People got churches. They got church services. That's why we starting on Tuesday nights. I don't want you to leave your church. I don't want you to stop listening to your sermon. I want to help you take those two things and make it transform into a powerful life. That's where the disconnect is for many of us believers. Y'all, this is the last days. Folks are losing hope big time, and people need the power that is available in your life if you believe in Jesus Christ. There's power available, and there's a disconnect in learning how to flip the switch and make it turn on. So I got to get right into the message today. Okay, so we're talking about how to develop a powerful life here on earth. In the last podcast that I delivered, Dan is Love. It's really powerful. You're really going to go and check that out. I talked about how Dan gave me, just made a phone call and talked to him since the pandemic, hung out together, blah, blah, blah. You really need to listen to that last podcast. It changed my life just to hear somebody reach out to me and say, hey, man, how you? I ain't talked to you in a couple of years, man. I just want to see what was up. Gosh. Go ahead and listen to that podcast and see how that changed my life. Now, I got a contact where a listener says these things sound really simple when you talk about reaching out to your neighbor. I talked about backing up into the garage, which is cool because this is why I did this video in the garage. I'm literally in my car and I'm in my garage because this contact says, hey, listen, you talked about being in your garage and backing up, and I'm guilty of that. Right? She says, I'm guilty of that. And the garage door closes and there you go into your house. And so how do you overcome the fear? This is really good. How do you overcome the fear of contacting your neighbors? You don't know them. They don't know you. You know, just all of this weirdness. Okay, so this is really good. So here I am, and I've been guilty of it too, but I just want you guys to know that this is something that it is work. It takes work to be a laborer in his harvest. It takes work to create a powerful life. I'm telling you, just some of the best nights of sleep you will ever have is when you have done the work in somebody else's life and they say, hey, listen, bro, sis, you changed my life. And they don't even have to believe what you believe. They don't even have to be a believer. They don't. Because that's not what he's that's not what he wants your motivation to be. Your motivation to reaching out to people is not so that they can become a believer. Hey, listen, that's a plus, and we want people to come to Christ. Trust me, I want people to come to Christ, but that's not what motivates me to do what Jesus called me to do. Because whether or not that person says yes to Jesus or not, I'm still going to be having to give account for what he called me to do. See, God is responsible for the transformation in people's lives that makes people say yes to Jesus. God is responsible for that. And I'm responsible for doing what he called me to do. When he said, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Go into all the world and be the gospel to every creature. Right? Listen, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. For God so loved people that he gave his only begotten son. So he wants us to get out there and contact people. So how do we make this transition? How do we overcome the fear? All right, so I'm pulled into my garage and check it out. Right here in my garage, I'm looking right across the street at my neighbor. Man, listen, I know my neighbor. He's not been there that long. So this is really good. So this is a real practical, and I hope this listener is listening to this podcast, okay? You said, how do you overcome the fear? Because this is hard. Okay, so here we go. Let's start from the beginning. My neighbor, who is now my neighbor, hadn't been there probably about 2 months, maybe 3 months. I saw him when he was moving in. I saw him. That's the first step. What if to overcome your fear, because many times when people are moving in, they got some of the same concerns and fears that you have. Who are these people, and are they good people, and what kind of relationship are we going to have? That's your bridge. So when he was moving in, I certainly backed into my garage like I'm doing now, like I just did. And I just simply went over there and I introduced myself. Hey, man, I'm Henry. And he introduced himself. And I said, first step, because remember, start from the beginning, right? If he's moving in, what do you think is a good idea for me to ask him if he needs? That's right. Do you need help moving? Listen, I said, hey, listen, I got a dolly right here in the garage. I got some hand straps. I got some gloves. You got everything? You good? And he had some help, and he had everything taken care of. Like, that first broke the ice and let him know who I am. Listen, you got to first be willing to do the work. And the first thing is to let people know who you are. So they moved in, right? He didn't need any help. That's fine. I at least broke the ice. I got his name. He got my name, and we cool. All right. So now, what's the next step after moving in? He's getting his stuff together. They got boxes, right? They moving stuff out. They throwing stuff in the trash. You know, the house is in shambles. So I'm giving them their space. I ain't coming over there no time soon. But what I am doing is I'm thinking about when's the next time I'm going to make contact with him. So one of the things you could do, what if the next time, after they move in, what if the next time you cut your grass, how about cut their grass too? They just moved in. They may not even have lawn equipment, or they may not have it yet. It could be in storage. It could be on the way. You'll never know. How about just you on your mower? You already got your stuff. I got an agreement with my neighbor. He has this lawn, and our lawns are divided. You know how the property is. Half the lawn is his, and half this little space is mine on this side of the house. And so he's going across, and he stops and goes up the line and tries not to come across my invisible property line, right? And then he's going, and so I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, listen, he was out cutting his grass one day. And I said, hey, man, it probably takes you more energy to stop and follow this property line so you don't come across and cut my grass no lower or whatever. Maybe you don't want to cut no more grass than you have to, blah, blah, whatever reason it is. How about you just go ahead and cut all the grass on that side? Because it's silly to be stopping and making that line in the grass. So here, how about you just cut all the grass? And then I made this agreement with him. I said, listen, I got a weed whacker and I got a blower. If you cut this little patch of grass of mine, every time you cut your grass, just cut it all because you're already over there. I will come and I'll do the weed whacking in front of your house, and I'll do the weed whacking in back of your house, and I'll blow it all off with my blower. What do you think he said to that? Of course. He said yes. And that's the arrangement that we have. And so that's a benefit to him. It makes sense to both of us. It ends up being a benefit to both of us because I don't have to drag my mower from my backyard down these concrete steps. You know how much it takes more energy for me to drag my mower from my backyard down these concrete steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 concrete steps, to cut this little 80 square feet of grass that's next to his. That takes more energy than it would have just cut the grass if I had the mower out there already. So that's a win-win for both of us. Listen, this is a perfect opportunity for you to break the ice and be a laborer. All right, let me jump in here and give you this Bible verse here. I love this. This is Luke chapter 10, and this is Jesus himself. The title of this chapter says Jesus sends out his disciples. This is moving towards the Great Commission. What people are being given instructions on how to live a godly life and what Christians are supposed to do. So he says, the Lord now, in Luke chapter 10, this is verse 1, the Lord now chose 72 other disciples and sent them ahead in pairs to all the towns and places he planned to visit. These were his instructions to them. The harvest is great, but the workers are so few. So pray to the Lord, who is in charge of the harvest. Ask him to send more workers into his fields. There it is. So not only is Jesus saying there's a huge harvest out there, and he's talking about souls. He's talking about people who need more power in their lives. Number one, the power that comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ. Number two, the power that he gives you after that relationship has been started, the power that he gives you to overcome trials and tribulations and all the power of the enemy. That power is available. And then the power that he gives you to reach out to people and create powerful relationships, because life should be about God's people and their interactions in powerful relationships. There is no separation between you being a person of God and you having powerful interactions with people. That's the harvest. Nobody's coming to Christ unless you affect change in their lives. And it could be something as simple as cutting their grass, helping them move in, whatever it takes to get the ball rolling, because we all have fear. We all natural human beings as normal. Just understand, it's tough for me too, but just understand I want to do the work because I am a laborer. If you say that you believe in Jesus Christ, you are a laborer. And here in Luke chapter 10, he's given us instructions to say, pray for more laborers. Because there's a whole lot of people who claim the name, but they're not in the game. And that's a sad commentary. And too many believers don't have the life that they want because they're not in the game. They're sitting around letting life happen as opposed to getting on the court and being in the game of your life, making powerful things happen. So that's what he says. He says, so number one, he says, the harvest is plentiful. And he says, not only does he says that we need more laborers, but he wants you to commit it to prayer. Now think about that. The Lord Jesus Christ says that when it comes to more people getting involved in the harvest and doing what he's called them to do, doing what he died for them to be able to do, because as he ascended and people watched him, he says, now you go into all the world. You've seen what I've done these last 3 years. Now you go. So he's given to us the ministry of reconciliation, bringing men back to God. And so he says, now you go. He's praying that we would pray that he would send more people to do what he's called us to do. He says committed to prayer. Why is that? That's a sad commentary, possibly, because you would think people would do it. You would think people would just automatically be out there looking for opportunities to be Jesus to people. But we're afraid, and we're tied up in our work, and we just caught up in the daily humdrums of life. And many of us, unfortunately, are just nominal Christians in name only. Christians in name only. We're not actually living a powerful life. We just want to have the reward or the cliche of saying, yeah, I believe in Jesus Christ. So really what you're really saying is if you're a nominal Christian, you're just not doing the work. Really what it means is that you're on the team and you believe that that's enough. I think there will be some sad hearts on the day of judgment, those who believed that they were people of his. Yeah, we already know that according to the scriptures. So I don't want to be one of those people. So I got to overcome my fear, get on out here. So, okay, here we go. So he's moved in. I can possibly go over there and cut his grass after I asked him if he needed any help. And then also, so he's cut his grass. He's already moved in. Okay, so because I think now this actually happened. My neighbor here, right here across the street, I'm looking at his house. I can open up my garage door. The first thing I see is his house. And he sent me a text message because shortly after he moved in, I said, hey man, let's chop it up sometime. Y'all sit around, y'all have bonfire. He was like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I know what happened. He asked me where a good place to get some firewood. And I said, man, listen, I have some. I have some firewood. I got this massive load of firewood delivered, and it was sitting in my driveway for so long until I could get it all moved back. And he says, hey, y'all wanna have a bonfire? And I was like, yeah, I'll come over, sure. And I'll bring some wood. I got plenty of it in the backyard. There's another opportunity. Just go and sit with people. Man, listen, you don't have to be looking for an opportunity to present the gospel to them. Hey, if you were to die today, where would you spend your eternal life? That's a good way to present the gospel. That's a great question to ask. You know, another question to ask is, you know, hey, listen, if you were at the pearly gates and God said, what should I do to let you? Why should I let you in? How would you respond? That's another great question, right? And some people can receive you asking those kinds of questions. But just understand that can be intimidating, right? And that takes a certain kind of person to be able to do that. That's not the way. That's a way, not the way. And so here we go. So he says, y'all want to come and had a bonfire? Yeah, I went to the bonfire. I sat around with him. Just chat it up, get to know them. Where you from? Blah, blah, blah. I'm from here. This is how long I've been there, right? And I just built a really casual relationship, and I didn't feel any pressure at all. You don't have to feel any pressure at all when you're doing the work. Just do the work. There's no possible way to win people or be powerful in the lives of people if you ain't around people. You got to get out of the routine, going to work, coming home, backing into the driveway, close the door, going up into the crib. You got to get out of that habit. I got to get out of that habit. And so I did sit down at the bonfire and chatted, and I didn't stay long. Chatted, got to know them, got bitten by mosquitoes. It was okay. It was well worth it because building the relationship. And then check it. So next I decided to reach out, and I decided to really be powerful. And I sent him a text message. I'll say, hey, bro, hey, we're going to have a cookout at my house this Saturday. And I sent him a text message. I actually have it here. I said, we're going to be having a cookout this Saturday at my house. Would you like to come? And, I want to read this to you so you know. Okay, so here it goes. Oh, here's the text message. I just sent him this text message. You guys are invited to a cookout at my place tomorrow, which was last Saturday. Tomorrow night. Probably eat dinner at around 5. Bonfire, drinks, and music afterwards. Let me know. Now, I had no idea what he had planned Saturday night, and this was scary because you want to, it could be awkward, and you don't want to feel rejected. If they say no, there's a meaning-making machine on the inside of you that makes it, well, he said no because, well, the reason he said no, it means this. All that stuff none of it probably is not true. So just forget all of that stuff and just do the work. It's a simple opportunity to do the work. Just reach out and take a chance. Just take a chance and see what God does. So I sent him, all right, let me know. So listen, just a few minutes later, he responded. Now, here's the awkward part, because as soon as you send it out, you get nervous and you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know if they like you because he don't look like me. He don't look like me. He ain't from where I'm from. He's a little bit younger than me and all these kind of things, right? It's different. You come from different parts of the tracks and the different backgrounds and kind of stuff. You rather not bother. Like, so what, man? I'd rather bother now and get rejected than wait for eternity to come and be rejected by the Father. Now, you don't do this kind of thing in order to get into heaven. And you do this kind of thing because you are getting into heaven and you want somebody else to go. Both are true. I'm not motivated to reach out to people because, I got to have somebody in the body of Christ. I got to save souls because, that's how I get to heaven. Man, listen, heaven is already mine. And because heaven is already mine, I want somebody to go with me. I want to save somebody from the things that I was overcome by when I said yes to Jesus. Come on, don't get me started preaching. I love evangelism. It's really simple. I know it's just simple ways to overcome the fear of reaching out. And so here it comes, the text message. Here's what he says. The first sentence. We can't come. Sorry, we don't do that kind of thing. Psych. That wasn't it. I got you. That's what you're afraid of. You're afraid that the response is going to be one of rejection because man, no. We'd love to, but his fiance had surgery and isn't fully recovered yet. Thank you for the invite, though, and we'll be there for the next one! Exclamation point. He was happy about the opportunity to reach out to me. You know why? Because the first thing is when he moved in, I showed myself friendly. Most of the time, the things that we fear that are going to happen never end up happening. Most of the time, you're never going to be rejected. But sometimes, and too often, fear of rejection keeps us from being a laborer in the harvest. And so we got to give it a chance and just trust God. So here he goes. Okay, we'll be there for the next one. That sounded cool. I said, Speedy recovery to her. Wishing her a speedy recovery. He says, thanks. Okay, now, Saturday comes and I'm cooking and I got some folks at my house and we're going to have a good time. And I just remembered this text. And a friend of mine said, hey, she's recovering. Why don't we take some food over there? I was like, what? That's a great idea. Why do we do that? I didn't even think about that. See, that's why you need to have people around you who are willing to do the same thing. Powerful living is powerful loving. You can't separate the two. You want a powerful life, you need to have some powerful love going on in your life. Reaching out to your neighbor is loving your neighbor. That is it. And so I reached out and I said, hey, this is Saturday. It's 2:50. I sent a text message. Watch this. So we're bringing dinner over for you both. See you soon! Exclamation point. Do you have any food allergies? Now, notice what I didn't do. I didn't ask a question. See, the Bible says that the righteous are as bold as a lion. So there's a boldness that has to take place in your life to where you're saying, hey, listen, I'm going to do this for somebody. I'm going to reach out for somebody. I'm going to change somebody's life. And I said, we're bringing dinner over. So we're bringing dinner over for you both. See you soon. I didn't ask. Because it was early enough where I figured they hadn't cooked dinner yet. It was 2:50. Now here it comes. Here's the response. No way, man. We don't eat the kind of food you guys eat. It's probably trash. You know that wasn't it. You know that wasn't it. But you see, that was not the response. But on doing these kinds of things is risky. You're taking a chance on being rejected. And that's what your meaning-making machine on the inside tells you is going to happen. They're going to reject you. But let me tell you what that really is. That is the flesh. The spirit, the human spirit that is fallen and corrupted and just doesn't want to do the things of God. That's the part. The part of you wants to remain mediocre. The part of you that doesn't want to take a risk and doesn't want to fail. That's the part of you that says, nah, don't do that. Man, they're going to reject you. Man, don't be offering them none of your food. They don't eat your stuff. Man, please don't go over there. They're going to say, why are you bothering me? Those things don't happen. So here was the response. Because I said, we're bringing dinner over. And he said she was recovering. So likely she may be the cook and doesn't feel like it. Or he may be the cook and he might not be able to cook because he's taking care of her. However that works, I see an opportunity to minister, to serve, to love people. And so I said, hey, we're bringing dinner over. Here's the response. No allergies. And that's so awesome of you. Thank you! Exclamation point. See, this is the kind of stuff where when you begin to reach out and do the things of God, God meets you there. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be a time where somebody might say no. But every time you get a no, you're one step closer to your yes. And being willing to reach out to this neighbor, even if you get a no and they don't invite you over, they don't come over, that'll make it easier for you to reach out to the next one. Because the next one may even say no. But the third one will say yes. And there's no telling what kind of power that can show up in your life. And I'm just telling you, it brought pleasure and joy in my heart to see that food being walked over to their house. I sat right there because I was running the grill. I sat right there. I can see his porch from my porch. My friend took the food right across the street. I had it prepared in a container, man, and we ate good. It was good food, man. And listen, man, guys, it did my heart well to see that ministry take place. And I'm telling you, it was a stretch for me. It was an outreach that I didn't go into without fear. And there's always the fear of rejection. But like I said earlier, I'm going to say it again. I'd rather have rejection now than be rejected later because I refuse to do what God called me to do. He called us to be laborers in the harvest. He says, even committed to prayer, that not only that you would go into the harvest, but that God would send more laborers into the harvest. Pray about it. Folks, I'm looking forward to the next opportunity to minister to my neighbor. And who knows what's going to come out of this outreach. Listen, he thanked me for it. He ate the food. He was grateful. And that's just another step towards me being able to operate with power in every area of my life. I'm telling you, folks, this is how you do it. So thank you for that correspondence about how we get it done. Listen, these are the steps that lead to powerful living. These are the things that we work on in our empowerment sessions on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. I don't want you to leave your church. Come Tuesday nights, and if you're in the Cincinnati area, come to General Dentistry. We'll be in the upper room, General Dentistry in Milford, Ohio, right up the street from Milford Middle School. Listen, this is powerful living. I'm looking for people who want to go from average lives to awesome lives, from mediocre lives to magnificent lives. Listen, I want people to go from extraordinary living. I want people to go from ordinary living to extraordinary living. That's what powerful living is. We're going to do it together, and we're going to make it happen for his name. Hit me back. Henry Flowers here, Powerful Living Outreach Ministries. I ain't going nowhere. I'm coming back.